I'm strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains. Radio Maria, 91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Good evening, Abuja. How's your day been? Are you close from work? Are you on your way home? Listen, relax, and enjoy the next 1 hour with us. I'm your host, Sisi Bunmi, and the program is Journey Through Life on Radio Maria 91.3 FM. I am delighted this evening to introduce my guest this evening. He has been described as the force of excellence in Nigerian television. He's a legend behind the most iconic classics in the Nigerian entertainment landscape. He's a legend also in the media world, a man who has seen and done it all in Nigerian broadcasting. I introduce to you Olorogun Dr. Peter Igho. You're most welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me in your studios.
I'm so grateful. How's your day been?
Very, very quiet. I mean, I normally wake up and play golf, but this morning...
You're now retired.
I'm retired, but not tired.
You're retired, but not tired, yes. We're so delighted to have you in our studio this evening. You rose to become the Executive Director of Programs at the NTA. And for 3 decades, you were the creative force behind some of the greatest classics in the history of Nigerian television before Nollywood, right?
That's right.
Before Nollywood, the internet and all that. So tell us a bit about your experience.
You have 3 days. Because you compacted all my practically working life together to talk about it in a few minutes. But it has been a very, very been good times for me. I mean, looking back to all those years as a young producer, going through and then rising up to be an executive director, which is the height of in your line of programming. You remember all the ups and downs, all the pains, all the gains, and every program you produced, every program you supervised, every program you created has its own specific memories and backstory. So it's a long, but it was quite, I mean, looking back now, I enjoyed every moment of it, pains and all.
That's fine.
And it was a working experience, it was a pioneering experience.
Yeah. And you're a pathfinder in the industry, aren't you?
Oh, yes. I mean, when I joined the
yes.
television in 1975 at NTV Sokoto, we were the pioneer members of that station. But of course, there have been broadcast stations before then. Every state had its own television, about 12 states then. But programming started not from Sokoto. I mean, the media, if you talk about the radio, started from Ibadan. And then the other states, Kaduna had its own RKTV, ENTV, WNTV. And so they had all the programs, mostly studio programs, and Village Headmaster, Samanja,
classics,
and Masquerade,
yes, we'll come to that.
Hotel the Jordan and all those. So
yes.
It covered the entire. That when we then came on, we now started to contribute towards the growth and development of that of those classic programs. And thank God we also did something nice.
Yes, Nigeria is blessed for it. You've come with some soundtracks to your life. The first one is Lagos by Bongozikwe. We'll play that for you now. Lagos by Bongozikwe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That was Lagos by Bongozikwe. Why that particular one?
Well, when I left school, primary school in Jos, I went to secondary school in Kaduna. And while in Kaduna, there was this young artist who, lovely voice with his guitar, entertained everybody. And we all loved him, and that was Bongozikwe. And he had at one point, the hotel called Hamdala Hotel, and at the rooftop, he played there, so they called him Bongozikwe and the Rooftoppers. So for us secondary school students, he was the epitome of his songs touched us in very many ways. And growing up, I came to like him a lot. I could sing all his songs.
Was it like the Wizkid of your time, would you say?
Well, definitely. I mean, the difference being here was that Bongozikwe all his songs were philosophical. Each song had a story to tell. And I listened to them with passion. And years later, they were to affect my job as a producer.
Your work, yes.
And because I'm going to link that now to when you talk about Cockcrow at Dawn later.
Yes.
Because when we started to produce Cockcrow at Dawn, and I was given the leeway to do what I wanted, I insisted that person who would do the theme song and the mood music was going to be Bongo Zikwe. So I met him, and he said, "What is it the program about?" I said, "It's going to be about agriculture, promoting agriculture, discouraging people from moving from the villages to the town, painting the village in an idyllic form, peace and quiet in the village, hustle and bustle in town." And I said, "Remember your song, Lagos?" And he said, "Yes. Tonight I think of my home in where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication, we had no taxes, the Cockcrow and the sun was all we had." So I said, "Remember that song?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay. In Cockcrow at dawn, I'm going to be painting almost the same kind of picture. Want to discourage people from moving from village to urban life. And village is where if you fell down, people will help you to grow. And but in the town, people come up with all kinds of things and you have no control."
Everyone is too busy in the village. In the town, in the city.
Yes, in the city.
Everybody's busy.
So that's how come he now went and came up with Cockcrow. Will he ever get there? Will he ever make it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buses every day with nothing left. At the end of it, pay. The rentals, you must pay. How much to pay? You often had no say. Will he ever get there? And goes on. So that's because I grew up knowing him and knowing his songs. That helped me decide and to go to him. And of course, the rest is history.
You were born in Jos.
That's right.
You schooled for primary school in Jos, and then you went to Kaduna.
Secondary school in Kaduna.
And then university in Ibadan. Can you give us, a picture of your childhood growing up and the influences in your life?
Well, Jos was, again, I always say that nothing happens by accident. And everything that happens or touches you or wherever your environment determines what you become. Of course, it depends on how you mold them in the end. My father was a tin miner. And every holiday we would go to visit him in any of the villages or places where he was mining. And but when we came back, again, there are times when things were poor, and my mother had to make do with whatever was in season. If it was groundnuts, if it was puff, it was chin-chin, it was boiled eggs, guinea fowl eggs those days. So we did all that. And going to hawk, one thing that attracted us was the cinema. There were cinema houses.
Oh, you used to hawk?
Oh, yes, of course. I grew up that. Every child grew up doing that to augment mother's...
The family's income.
Yes. And because mining wasn't always too sure. So now you get it, now you don't. So mothers had to make do with what they could. So we'll go selling eggs or groundnut around the cinemas and end up going to watch movies. There were movies in the morning, afternoon, and evening. So at that early age, I was struck and attracted by the moving image in the cinema. And of course, years later, this decided my choice on what I wanted to do in life, to be part of that experience.
What did you study at university?
Literature and drama and history.
So your interest was already
ingrained from that growing up.
So you knew what you wanted to do.
And of course, going to Kaduna now for the secondary school, I had a principal who, at the very early, watched me and so I liked all that and gave me the opportunity. And of course, television just came when we were in Kaduna. And so here it was, what I loved growing up, wanted to do. And then suddenly from nowhere, we now saw television. And I said, look, this is where...
What year was that?
Secondary school was from 62. Actually, I finished secondary school at 60. My father said I was too young to go down south because I had the past exams in schools in the south. So it took another year for me to grow up. And so 62 to 66.
So then there was no television?
No, television came from 1959.
Okay, 1959,
but
yes.
by 62, when we joined, RKTV already had Radio Kaduna television.
Okay.
So they had radio and television. And so it was something new, but something that attracted all of us and made us all, of course, live our dreams.
I think it's really nice to do something that you have passion for.
Of course, it helps.
It helps.
When you're doing what you really love to do.
Yes.
It's no longer a job. It's something that makes you happy.
Yes. The next soundtrack to your life is Cockcrow at Dawn by Bongo Zikwe. We play it for you.
Wow, memories.
Cockcrow. You're dancing and digging.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And every sound, every part of that song brings back memories.
Yes.
Painful ones, you are in the song.
Tell us about Cockcrow at Dawn. We want to know. We want to hear from you.
Cockcrow at Dawn, has become almost the quintessential program that was the beginning of a beginning, a revolution that came from everything that I was before, and all the people I knew, and all the experiences I had, and all my desires, all came to be a fruit in Cockcrow at dawn. Because I told you I started an NTV Sokoto formally after university. I left university in 1972, was posted to be there, Northwest State. After 3 years, I wrote a play on stage that won an award. So I was taken to Sokoto now to start broadcasting the television. And while it was there, NTV, all the stations came under one umbrella, NTA, in 1977. To showcase that oneness, all the stations were now asked to produce a drama as part of a competition. I wrote, produced, and directed the entry from Sokoto called Moment of Truth. Again, in doing that program, I used bongo zikwe's. You can begin to see how bongos influenced me from those early days. I used a song and for a particular sequence where I wanted to show pain. A lady who had no child for many years now had a child, and the child dies. How do you show that pain? I didn't want my artist to cry and make people laugh. So I used the elements to do that.
How did you do that?
And well, what I did was, when the moment she screamed that her child was done, I cut to the outside of the house, and there's a heavy storm, rain and thunder, and then the husband looks for her and sees her in the garden in the rain, and he picks her up, and you can't tell the tears from the rain in her eyes. So you don't have to be told she's crying.
That's very creative.
She's just there, yes, and that was 1978, and so when she picks up, when he picks her up from in the rain and takes her into the house, I threw him one of Bongo Zikwe's songs, which was at the moment you heard that what goes up, what that was gonna be is gonna be, what goes up must come down, what's gonna be is gonna be, and nothing you can do about it. When you heard that song with the rain and thunder and all that, most people broke down and shared her pain. So that's how come I've been building with Bongo Zikwe all through. So when we did that and we came first, the next year, NTA wanted to produce a drama series to help promote agriculture. Because I promoted the winning entry in that competition, I was now taken from Sokoto to Lagos. And of course, what came out of that experience was Cockcrow at dawn. Because, again, I wanted it to be unique. I wanted every aspect of it to be different. It was the first time NTA was shooting a program outside the studio. There were no video cameras at that time. There were only cine cameras. We had to shoot on film. And to shoot on film means you have to send your material to London to process. So you don't even see what you're shooting. And when you're shooting a separate picture, separate sound. There's a sound recordist that records the voices. There's the cine camera that records the pictures. When you now go to London, you sit with the picture editor to cut all your frames together to tell your story. Then you go to the sound editor and lay the sound onto it with all the sound effects, footsteps and all that. So it was a difficult thing. And I was pioneering it. I had not seen anybody do it. So that's how Cockcrow was, that significant it is in my life and all that. Of course, by the time we came back, it became a big...
Were you surprised at the success?
No, but because somehow, when I was asked to do it, and I like challenges, when I was posted to Sokoto as a pioneer member, I started off the drama department. I was producing Hausa drama and English drama live every week, just like you're doing your program live now. No margin for error. I was doing that with Hausa drama and English drama every week. So I liked those challenges. And then with Cockcrow, first time on location, we had to build our own sets, we had to hire houses, we shoot out in the open, in the markets, in the streets, and all that. So it was a unique experience. And it was the first program that had its own sound special music dedicated, produced for it. So Cockcrow came and was the first program that got sponsorship, corporate sponsorship and on the NTA.
It captivated the attention of the whole nation. How did you do that? It was fascinating.
Well, it was something new. People were used to just seeing programs in the studio, Village Headmaster Manja and all that. We loved them. I grew up loving them myself. But because I grew up in the cinema in Jos, I knew that life doesn't happen only in the studio. It happens in the markets, in the streets and all that, and I wanted to show that. So Cockcrow gave me the opportunity to do that. And so that's uniqueness. And of course, I pay attention to quality. Shooting on film was you get the best picture quality.
Yes.
And then I took time to get the best microphones to get, the sound quality was good. So for those who remember Cockcrow, don't say it was something new outside that people didn't think was possible. And yet the quality was not any scratchy. It was clean, clear quality and all that.
Clear.
So it had so many things going for it.
Who was your favorite character in Cockcrow? I remember Uncle Gaga, Beatrice, Bello, Zemaye, all of this. Who was your favorite?
It's like asking a father who was among his
child,
children,
yes.
which one of them. Every one of them, there's a backstory. With Eni Oloja. When I cast Cockcrow, I got all the characters except Zemaye. It took me time to get her because in the end, I started with Beatrice, who is the son, and then Larry, the daughter. And both of them, in real life, are older than Zemaye. Now, so when I first looked around, I couldn't get anybody. And when I finally got Zemaye, the first time I saw her, she looked too young because, in fact, like the youngest of the two of them, and she was supposed to be the mother. But it speaks to her, the quality of her acting capability and all that, that when she started, when you say action and she starts acting, she becomes the mother. And you can see this, and of course the Beatrice and Larry, they themselves are incredible actors. They threw away all their ages, and they are now the children of Zemaye. Uncle Gaga was the one that everybody loved to hate, was the wicked uncle who harassed them in the village and all that. But again, he was the most lovable character on set. He made everybody laugh. He was the clown. He was the brilliant mind. There's no subject you bring up that Kasimuyero will not talk about. Whether it was flying, whether it's submarines, whatever, anything you bring up, Kasimuyero can give you expert knowledge on that program. So he was, but everybody, of course, the viewers hated him. He was the wicked one and all that.
Yes.
But each character, and I'm working on my book now. Everyone has his own backstory. And they were all, at the end of the day, one lovable bunch. And we all were, the support they all gave to me. And because they themselves were, for many of them, it was a new thing. They never participated in that kind of program. But like Abiola used to say, you don't clap with one hand. You must clap with two hands. Production, especially television, you can't do alone. So a lot of the success attributed to me now is because I had this incredible cast, incredible crew, and of course the managers and who supervised me.
They were able to translate your vision properly. Yes, you said that you said earlier on that the concept of the program was to encourage agriculture and to stop urban migration. Did you think that program achieved that?
Oh, definitely, and definitely the impact. I'll give you an example. Today, when you talk about agriculture, one of the biggest elements everybody talks about is manure. What do you call it? Fertilizers.
Yes.
When we were going to start, fertilizers was just being introduced, and nobody wanted them. They believed that it was a conspiracy to poison their land and all that. So one of our objectives was to make people accept fertilizers. And it speaks to the fact that before we even did 13 episodes, everybody was now fighting for fertilizers.
So are you saying before then, fertilizer was not the norm?
Government was trying to introduce them. By that 1980, many farmers were refusing to accept fertilizers. But when we started promoting it as something that is positive, as something that is good, and it got to the point where now every state was fighting for fertilizers, everybody was fighting for fertilizers. So that was one of the successes.
How about the rural-urban migration?
Of course, yes, because at that time, that's why we chose Bello. I mean, someone who had just finished secondary school, had no job, was working in a block factory. We could have chosen a permanent secretary who got a loan from a bank to go and do. No, we wanted to choose a character who, if he succeeds, will be an example that is believable. So here is a man who didn't fit secretary, living in a face me, I face you compound where they fight every day. Who take my water? Who choose my water? Who take my yam? And all that.
So it was relatable to more
yes.
people.
So people, that's why there was so much following. And so when he loses his job, at the factory, and every day the wife was fighting people in the compound and the children were getting into trouble. He asked himself, what am I doing in this town? After all, my father had a farm there. Why don't I go back home and go and farm? So when he lives like that, of course, people could follow his story. And that's why when Bongo says, will he ever get there? Will he ever make it? Will he ever hear the sound of the cockcrow? The cockcrow Adon song represents now the serenity of the village, the beauty of the village, the peace and quiet of the village.
Simplicity
of the village. And so he gets there, but of course we didn't want to make it easy for him. If he just goes there and succeeds, we'll say, no, it's too easy. And that's why we threw in Uncle Gaga, the wicked uncle who said, you people have been in town. I've been looking after the family farm. Now you come back from town, you want to come and take over my dead body. And so again, because nothing good comes easy.
Yes.
So that's how we were able to create visibility. And so when later he does well, and the banks and government have an agricultural show, and they bring farmers together, and he's able to win at that level, and is given a loan from the bank. At that time, we had life imitating art. When UBA was supposedly the sponsors gave him a loan to start, and he actually had a poultry farm paid for by whatever. We had life imitating art all through. So when that happens, people could believe it that you don't have to know someone. You don't have to go and be a permanent secretary. At the level of Bello, you can also get it. So it really opened up, and the belief by many people, most Nigerians, to say, yes, if Bello can do it, I also can do it. And we didn't know how powerful the Bello thing, that the followership had been. And at one point, we had gone about halfway, about 60 or 70 episodes. This is a little incongruous. We had taken the success of Bello for granted, and but we were not too sure. Of course, we're hearing all over the country what people are rushing home to watch. And then one time when Bello goes to town to go to apply for the loan to the bank, and he gets to town, and he's wandering around, wondering where to stay, when he sees an old friend, an old girlfriend, who says, Bello, what are you doing? How many years? What have you been? What happened to you? Oh, my husband died, and I'm on my own now. And what are you? Oh, I'm here to. I said, what are you looking for? So I'm going to look for a hotel. I said, no, why stay in a hotel? You can stay in my place. So we allowed Bello to stay in our place. When we transmitted that episode, my DJ called me from there. We had so many thousands of calls have gone to him. This innocent man, this good man, we want to corrupt him now with a girlfriend. And so that was how powerful the image of the followership was. And
that was how innocent we were all then, back then. You know. Sounds like you really enjoyed the process of making Cockcrow Adon.
I enjoyed the process of making every program I did. Because every program.
But I think Cockcrow Adon was the most iconic, most memorable one.
Yes, and also had
works.
his own challenges also. If you like, because for you to understand that is the fact that on the week I was supposed to go and start Cockcrow, I spent 2 weeks before then with my wife who was pregnant in my car, driving from Sokoto to Kaduna to Zaria to Jos to book for the houses, to pay for the houses, to get the staff and crew together, to get everything. By the time I took her back to Sokoto and went to produce the program in the studio, when I came back, she was bleeding and drove herself to hospital. She passed out at the hospital, lost the baby, and was admitted. And this was the day I was supposed to leave, because the cast and crew were going to start arriving in Jos, and I had to be there. So I left my wife, just having lost her baby, to say, look, this program, there's something about this program put together. I have a feeling that this program will make a difference in our lives. I have a belief that this program will be a successful one. If I don't go today, things will go bad. And she said, I understand, go. So I left her there.
That was a great sacrifice. Thank God you had an understanding wife.
Yeah. Yes. So, but again, these are the kind of sacrifices that most producers do. We make people laugh, we make people happy, but they don't know the backstory of what we go through to do that.
So the characters today, the ones that are still around, are you still a family? Are you still friends?
Oh yes, we're still online. Unfortunately, we've lost a number of them. Bello, yes. We've lost. Uncle Gaga, we've lost. Beatrice, we've lost. Larry, the daughter, also we've lost. And Oloja is still alive. Afi, one of the characters, is still there. Oloja, Zena Beatrice is still alive. But we have this bond that we have before we lost all those ones.
The next soundtrack to your life is What's Gonna Be is Gonna Be by Bongos Ikwe. My guest this evening is Olorogun Dr. Peter Igho. You can join this conversation on 081-084-47518. You can send a message or send WhatsApp message. Yes, why is this one of you? You guys say you were dancing and
again, if you recall, I said I know and can sing all Bongos Ikwe songs, even from my secondary school.
I can tell.
So, and when I did Moment of Truth, like I said, that won the first award for the first drama competition in the NT, that was the track I used. Now, even though this is a love song talking about him complaining that he had so many girls and shapes and sizes, but I didn't. I took out the lyrics. I just took the music. You understand? And that part that says what's gonna be, the refrain, what gonna be is gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
What goes up must come down. What's gonna be is gonna be, and nothing you can do about it. It fitted well for that beat I needed for when that lady lost her baby. So if you took it to where it complained about girl, that's it. But I just took what I needed, and you will think that part was composed specifically for that movie.
But do you believe that what's going to be is going to be, there's nothing you can do about it?
Yeah, I believe in predestination.
Providence, there's nothing you can do.
You know, and so Bongo, of course, like I said, the philosopher, every song he did had a specific meaning. And that's why he touched the souls of many like us. And that's why we still meet. He celebrated his birthday recently. And
how old are you?
83 years. And
is he still performing?
Well, he has a fantastic studio in Boko, and he's an incredible character. I mean, as you can see how our lives have merged and intertwined. We're still talking. Every time he comes, his last birthday I was with him and his children and all that. So we still relate.
So if you could travel through time machine to any year, which year would it be and why?
Well, I mean, again, like I said, I believe that nothing happens by accident. And that I'm here now is because of the sum total of all the experiences I've had in the past and everything else. And if I moved back now with all the knowledge I have done to go there to try to tamper with things, I may not be sitting here with you talking about choosing a time. So
yes.
The now and the future that it portends for me is important.
But you were saying earlier on about the process and the procedure of producing the work, the cine, yes. So if you look at that time vis-a-vis now, where everything is so is digital world and all that, do you wish that you were, active now? Do you wish that Cockcrow was now? Do you wish that you were a producer now with all the technological advancements and all that? The tools that makes things easier?
No. Because, like I said, who I am today, the fact that you interview me today is because of those experiences that I went through, and if you like, the successes that I had. That's why we're having this conversation.
That's true.
So, and like I said, I like pioneering. And so going through all that, being the first to do this, being the first to moving drama out of the studio, going to get someone like Bongos Ikwe to do what he did, and opening the door for many others. Because many today, I've had many Lifetime Achievement Awards. And of course, a lot of it has come from Nollywood and all that, and other bodies. Because of the pioneering work I've done, yes. And how I inspired them to say it's possible. Because many of people thought it wasn't possible, that we couldn't produce content that would match
international standards.
And yet, when I did Moment of Truth in 1980, because I shot it again, we took it to Algiers for international festival. We had the whole of Africa, Belgium, Germany, and Portugal were members who sent in entries. We came first. Again, to show that we had not only just the story, the content, but also the technical quality. And so, for me, that's very, very gratifying. And even Cockcrow, there's a group called Input, It's an international body of producers of public televisions from around the world, BBC, America, and all that. And they meet every year and go around the world to select unique content, programs that they find unique. And they selected Cockcrow. And when they select your program, you're taken to where the next meeting was going to be. And you spoke to your colleagues about how you did it, what inspired you to do that. And I was taken to South Carolina, where we had the input for that year, to talk about Cockcrow at dawn. And what struck them was the simplicity of the storyline in terms of the characters. Nothing too fanciful, not all those fancy cars, big houses and all that. The rustic in the villages, in their tattered clothes and the rest of them in the farm and all that. But the story reverberated, it touched their souls. And it was an example that was selected worldwide. So all that for me are important. Luckily, many of those that are inspired are doing what you're saying I would have done with modern technology. And the last award I was given by Multi-Choice, my son, Tosin Igho, was one of the recipients of the award. And they said we made a history because it was the first time in the history of the award that father and son were getting awards at the same time. So I lived my own time, analog. He lives his own time now, digital, and he's making waves now. So let them do their bit. We've done our bits. Yes. We inspired them, and we'll keep giving them the opportunity, praying for them to do more than we have done in our past.
You can join this conversation on 081-084-47518. My guest this evening is Olorogun Dr. Peter Igho. So, if you could have lunch with any world famous person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
It doesn't have to be world famous, just anyone.
Anyone famous person.
My mom.
Your mom?
Because a lot of who I am today, in terms of storytelling and who captured my imagination, even before the cinemas, was my mom.
Is she still alive?
She's dead.
She's dead.
So, but you said dead or alive?
Yes, I said that, yes.
So, if you talk about... my mother was such a powerful storyteller. And she told us stories in Hausa, in Fulfulde, in Igbo, and in different languages. And growing up, she was our first contact to the world at large in terms of the things that happened outside our own environment. The songs she sang, the stories she told, and all that. That was what fired my imagination. So when cinemas came and we started going there, it was she had formed that base and all that. So I'm glad that she was alive to see a lot of the successes achieved and all that. And she had said, in fact, one of the things that she did that inspired me was the fact that, I don't know whether for real or for not, before I was born, my father has a book where he writes our histories and all that. My father's, in the book he wrote, if you read the story, he said, I was sleeping 2 a.m. when my wife woke me up. She was heavily pregnant and was expecting to give birth. She was expecting a girl, and she was praying for, because all the children she had were boys. She wanted a girl. So she woke me up at 2 and said, sorry, that I just finished talking to this son, and the son spoke to me that when I'm born, so I'm sorry to disappoint you, I'm not going to be a girl, but I'm going to make you happy. That in everything I do, when I come to life, I'll always be ahead of others. So my father said, are you sure of this? She said, yes. So just to let her go, wrote the story down, and that I named myself Odenwanule. My name has gone ahead of others. So that's my name, Odenwanule. So growing up as a child, whenever I met my mother, if I did well in school, she said, I'm not surprised, you said it yourself. So again, because I didn't want to disappoint her, it may just have been a mother's way of encouraging a child. So I worked twice as hard to make her happy. Every time, whatever I was doing, I'll think of her and say, look, I don't want to go back and my mother says I failed. So that stuck. You understand? So that's why today, if you mention one key person, it has to be my mom.
So did she later have daughters?
Again, she said that I said, I may not be a girl, but I assure you that the next person will be a girl. And the next
was a girl.
Oh, she's late, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
So there are things we take for granted. We say, oh, well, it's just but my mother really inspired and influenced what I am today. What
achievement has given you the most joy? What single achievement has given you the most joy and satisfaction?
You know, one of the things I like doing is building. You know, when my friends, they were surprised in the early years when somebody gave us plots to build, and some people sold them to buy a car. And I said, no. When I have 10 naira, I buy a block and keep. When I have 10 naira, I buy cement and keep. And then started putting them together. That feeling of starting from a bare land, putting the blocks together, getting to window level, getting to lintel level, and then the roof and all that, and get the building. It's the same kind of feeling you get when you are writing a play.
It's creative.
From the idea comes,
yes.
You put the script together, begin to put together, then you get your cast together. And then when you put it all together, and then it's transmitted, then you see the joy on people's faces, the acceptance. There's no joy that matches that. So for me, every joy that comes is from the people's acceptance of what I've done. Each time I've done something, and for me, that joy comes from, at the end of the day, people saying, we like what you've done. And I'll give you an example. When we were shooting Cockcrow at dawn, there was a bus in the streets of Jos, and the NTA bus with Cockcrow at dawn written on the way. We took a break, and the bus was passing, and there were students in there. When they saw the NTA, so they stopped. Cockcrow was very popular then. So they all rushed out, the students. Some ran to Uncle Gaga, some ran to Kasimu, some ran to Larry, some ran to Beatrice. Nobody came to me. So I sat there, and then at the end of the day, when they had finished taking autographs from all the artists and characters, one of the girls came to me and said, are you Mr. Peter Igho? Yes, Peter Igho. I said, yes, the producer. I said, yes. I said, I thank God, somebody has recognized me. And then she said, are you not jealous that all these characters that you created, they know them, nobody knows you? I said, no, on the contrary. The fact that you like them, that's what has given me the most joy. Not whether you recognize me or not. It's the fact that the things I created has brought joy to people.
That's interesting. Any regrets looking back? Are there things that you wish you could have done differently?
Like I said, I always say, sometimes they ask me if you want to scrape anything in your past, what would you do? And I always say no. Because whether it's the pain, whether it's the gain, whether it's and there were lots of pains. I mean, when you're shooting in the studio, you are covered from wind and when you're in the air conditioner and all that kind of thing. When you're shooting on location, where there come rain and sunshine, you are out in the sunshine. In shooting Cockcrow, we'll travel from town across a river called Rapimachiji, Snake Scream. We go to this village where my father used to have a mine. The chief of that village gave us his whole compound that we use as the compound of Uncle Gaga and the Bello family. And we'll put our tent, our mats under a tree. No building, under the tree. So that's where the artist sat down while I was shooting from one set to the other. On occasion, the chief would send us some chickens. They roast them for us to eat and all that, while we're waiting for our food to be brought from Jos. We'll finish from there, then go back to town where we shot interior. When you see a character leave the compound there to go to wash, and we caught the river where we use is 8 miles away from that. We travel across Jos to the East Slope Hills where the waterfall is. That's where water. So when you see somebody walks out and you see the person by the river stream, that's 8 miles away and 8 miles back to town. So it was a difficult thing. And like I said, many of my cast and crew were experiencing this for the first time. I was experiencing it for the first time. But because, like I said, the cinema had prepared my mind for and trained my mind for it, and bore all those pains and the tears and all that. At one point, I mean, I'm human. After I wake up first, and I'm always on the first, prepare my script and all that, distribute. And while they go there, I go with the cameraman maybe at 4 a.m. to go and catch the sunrise and all that. And when we come back, when they assemble and said, I am the last with my cameraman because we finished with everybody, they all go to rest before we now leave. And when they come to rest in the afternoon, for me to shoot the interiors in the night, while they're resting and preparing for that night, then we start shooting. When they all finish about 2 a.m. and they're sleeping and preparing for the next day, one day I just got up and I fell back on my bed, and they rushed me to hospital. And the doctor said, look, you're exhausted, you must rest. I'm going to give you an excuse to your boss. I said, I'm the boss, yeah. So, but that was I was determined to succeed. And I'm glad I had a cast and crew that made people, and the supervisors, our DG and the rest of them, who provided the resources for us to succeed. They believed in me. when I said I could do it. And that's where they gave me all the resources to do it.
So when you look at Nollywood now, and of course we also have Kannywood, and compared to the kind of values and ethics of your time, how do you see it?
Many times people ask me, they want to compare my time, basically, with now. And I said the challenges are different. And when I did Cockcrow, for example, the first 13 episodes I shot on film, so I was going to London and back before video cameras came, and I started shooting with that and all that. But NTA was the major, and there were only a few stations that came later. So you had like one-eyed cyclop, the NTA. Now the challenges are more. There are these private televisions, there are the public televisions, there are international, the cables and all that.
And internet.
And so the competition and all that. And so there's so much competition that they have to contend with. And so, of course, like you said, technology has changed. When I did Cockcrow, when we were going to edit, I had about 3 big machines with the whole room was the editing room. But now, when my son edits, he's just with his laptop, and he's doing all his track, all the correction and all that. I have a son who's into animation, Tony Igho. His room but he builds his own computers and all that. So they do a lot of things that we couldn't do in our own time. In my own time, we used to boast that we were 3-legged. We could write, we could produce, and we could direct. Now, the young children of now, my son is a cameraman. He produces, he writes, he directs, he does his editing, he does his music, sound, and all that. So they are
another level.
On another level. So I give it to them. Our time was different. We had our challenges. They have their own challenges now, and I want to commend them, because of course, there are those who don't give thought to what the content should be, the objectives and the proper thought that goes into it. But there are many out there who are doing wonderful things that we must commend them for.
Yes. So what is one major lesson that life has taught you?
Nothing good comes easy. You want to work out. Many people come into this industry because, they see Mofedami, they see all the stars. They want to be a star. They don't know the nitty-gritty of the hard work that goes into it. This business, broadcasting, whether it's for radio or television, is a difficult job. It comes with responsibilities. And the success you garner will depend on how much seriousness you apply to it. Creativity is wanted. The knowledge is only 50%. The rest of it is sacrifice and the passion that you put into it.
Right.
So when you come to this business, come knowing that you are coming to a serious business, not just, I want to be a star and you want to work hard, and you have specific dreams you want to achieve, and you are prepared to work hard to achieve those dreams. That for me is the lesson I can only talk about. Nothing good comes easy. You have to work hard for it. Nobody will give you free lunches. Not everything will be perfect. You have to keep using your creativity to come up with ways to solve problems that will keep coming. They will never stop coming. But if you sit down and sometimes you hear people say, I beg, I wanted this, they don't give me, so not my papa job, let them. Many times I've come up with ideas that I want to do it, and they say there's no money. I don't say, if you don't give me the money. I call my wife, is my lunch ready? She says, yes, send it to me. I use it as the food I want to buy. If I build a set in the studio and there are no curtains, I go to my house, remove all the curtains and come and put them. I don't wait to say, if I don't get this, I must not do it. You understand? So that is one lesson. And then for the present generation, unfortunately, many of the broadcast houses also are not helping matters. I believe there are 1,001 Peter Ighos all over in stations, but they're not given the opportunities to showcase their talent. A young man will come with an idea, say, go and meet his boss. I have this wonderful idea. I believe we can do this. Say, sorry, I beg, we don't have the money. Go and look for sponsorship. Where will the producer, who is the producer, now begin to go and be a marketer and run for sponsorship? So because she can't find sponsorship, that idea dies. So lots of things are happening, lots of good ideas are there, we're losing them because we're not giving these young people the right encouragement, the right support to achieve their dreams.
Yeah, their potential. So now that you're retired now, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm working more now that I'm retired.
Tell us a bit about that. So what are you doing these days?
Well, for one, I'm the president of the Urubo Leadership Forum. And growing up in Jos, my parents were Urhobos, but grew up in a compound where we were the only non-Igbos. So the first language...
Non-Igbos in Jos?
Yes. There were 7 families. They all Igbos, were only the non-Igbos in that compound. So all the... Boju Agarami, Onyenjidelu, Ntayalo, we're all... and we went to... when we go for exercises and we're resting, it's all Igbo song. I don't know, so we grew up, my parents would say, oh, what is going on? You speak Hausa and Igbo, you won't speak your own language. So we were forced to learn. So it's my own language I learned to speak. And I believe that I speak it very well now, because one of the songs I asked you to find is an Urhobo song that I believe produced by Victor Olaya. But so that's one of the things I'm doing now, and because of my background and growing up in the north and all that, my background, most of my friends were all from the north and all that.
So you're bilingual. You speak.
I try.
What languages? What languages do you speak? As
many as I can count. What's your own language? I just sang your language now. And anyway, the most of, like I said, I produced drama in Hausa and English when I was a young producer and whatever. So with that background coming together, and my first title given to me by the Emir of Argungu is the Danjik and Kabi, this grandson of the ruler of the Empire of Kabi. So I covered the entire story. My experience are therefore multiple, Nigeria and all that. So as Urhobo Leadership Forum, I'm not just fighting to grow Urhobo. I'm doing that, but I know that Urhobo will succeed more in the context of building bridges and working together with other tribes to make Nigeria a better place. Once we do that, then all of us in our individual places will be good. I have an incredible group of people. Urhobo Leadership Forum is made up of former retired and serving people, vice marshals, ministers, kings and all that. And I'm the president, and we're based in Abuja here. But we're building bridges. Everything we've done, we bring people together, the Igbos, Hausa, Yoruba, Hausa, so that we can work together to build this country. Problems facing Nigeria are many, and it will require the sum total of all our efforts to make Nigeria work. That's one. I'm also the Goodwill Ambassador for Senior Citizens. I'm working with the National Center for Senior Citizens.
In your 70s now, aren't you?
I'm 76, I'll be 77 next month. I'll be 77, but I'm still...
you don't look
I play golf 3 times a week. I enjoy myself, and I believe in that he who rests, rusts. Success comes to he who moves.
That's profound. What's going to be is going to be.
It's going to be.
So what is next in your bucket list? What is the next plan? Because you still have a lot in you.
I still have a lot.
Do you do consultancy work?
I have a consultancy business, Peter Igho Consults, and my sons are part of that consultancy. We assist people with help them in the industry with training, relate to NBC to help them to push to get licenses, radio or whatever. And we're also working with some people. They call us for productions. We have our own equipment and all production plans. We're setting up our own. We're working on. Right now it's undercover, but the world has not heard the last of us. The Igbos. I'm
very sure about that. Being an Urhobo man who grew up in Jos, who is, pan-Nigerian, if I offered you starch and banga, tuwo shinkafa or amala, what would it be?
You see, you've covered my 2 favorite foods. Tuwo shinkafa, I grew up with banga and starch or wo. These are Urhobos, which is part of me. My wife is Yoruba, and that's amala.
Amala.
So you've selected my 3 best dishes.
Amala,
of course. But of course, once I get the tuwo shinkafa with me and kuka, especially with I'm at home.
And you wash it down with champagne or beer or water?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to alcohol. Not that I have anything against it, but I'm constituted to. So all fragrances I use are alcohol-free.
There's always water.
Alcohol-free and all that. So, but nothing against alcohol. But
is there any luxury item you cannot live without?
None.
Nothing?
There's not. I mean, like I said.
What about your golf club and all that? Your games?
Yeah, well, for me now, it's not a luxury thing. It's a required, necessary tool.
For your exercise.
That I exercise with. Keeps I've had a heart
operations.
Yes.
Bypass.
Not bypass. Angioplasties.
What is that?
Where your arteries, there's blockage. And so they
is that
go
because of cholesterol?
Cholesterol.
Yes.
And then they go through and open it, and they put stainless steel stents in your heart. So one of the things I need to do is exercise. That's why, and thank God for that, because I'm restless. I can't sit one place. I'm
even at your age.
Yes. I can't sit one place a long time. And that bongo song.
Yes.
And,
so have you enjoyed your time with us here?
I've had a wonderful time with you.
Will you come back again?
Any day, anytime.
Yes, we will.
Broadcasting is in my system.
Yes.
Any day you come, waking or sleeping,
yes.
I'll jump into your studio.
So we send you to continue your life journey. We wish you good health, peace of mind, and many, many more years of playing golf.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Maria, more successes.
Yes.
Well done. You're doing very well.
My guest this evening has been Olorogun Dr. Peter Igho. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abuja. Have a good evening. Join me again next week, Monday at 5 p.m. Thank you.